I reported racist bullying happening to my son. The school did not take any note and did not make any reports as they should have through the police department for discrimination against his protected class rights, namely race, ethnicity, and nationality. My son has persevered over a year and a half of racist bullying that has affected his mental health. He now suffers from severe depression and battles suicidal thoughts. Other children have brought this to the attention of the administration of Cesar Chavez Middle School. The same student who makes racist comments about my son's white skin has also been noted to make derogatory statements towards other children's race. These are considered hate crimes, and the school has adopted a policy of tolerance by not implementing appropriate disciplinary action to stop them. They continue to let the student attend school and spread hate. Cesar Chavez Middle School has adopted, I already have that. The school also neglected to update their paperwork in a timely fashion. This resulted the Union City Police Department arresting my 11-year-old son. My hope is that these recent events will help the school to adopt a policy and procedure that will protect all children and their civil rights so that they are not left to try to defend themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and convene to close session right now. Yes, please. Open session of the Board of Education meeting. The URL for YouTube live streaming may be found on the New Haven Unified School District Board of Education website. If you are joining us online via Zoom webinar and you would like to provide public comments for this meeting, you may do so by utilizing the raise hand option in Zoom. If you are calling in by phone, press 9 and wait to be called on. Community members may provide public comments to the board before each meeting via email at publiccomment@nhusd.k12.ca.us. There were 3 comments provided to the board for tonight's meeting via public comments email address. I would like to remind the public that we will not be responding to questions posted by those making public comments. Okay, relative to closed session. Items 3.1 and 3.3. There was no action taken by the board. Or this way. Okay. All right, relative to session items 3.2, the board by unanimous vote determined to send notices for non-reelection pursuit of Education Code section 44929.21B to the following certificated probationary employees: employee number 8521, employee number 8449, employee number 8265, employee number 8872, employee number 8284, employee 7871, employee number 8940. Also, relative to closed session item 3.2, the board consider the appeal of findings related to a complaint filed against a district employee. The board took action by voting 4-0 vote and 1 abstention to uphold investigation findings. May I have a roll call, please?
Aye.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and
Point of order.
yes, yes.
That last roll call was for what? There's no actions that are being done right now.
That was added to the agenda. But that was a mistake then.
Okay. So no action has
No.
been taken. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to our Vice President Kumar at this time to preside over item 5, procedural items.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. Will the audience please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Perez. Here. Hernandez.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
May I have a motion and second to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Perez.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
May I have a volunteer to read out the land acknowledgement today? Trustee Rafay.
We want to open up this meeting by acknowledging with respect and love that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chichenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in past contexts as if they left on their own accord, when the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, and US colonization. By recognizing we stand on the occupied indigenous territory of Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to Native leadership and stand in solidarity with people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present.
Thank you, trustee Rafay. Back to you, President Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Kumar. We're going to go ahead and go on to public comments. Are there any blue cards for topics that are not on the agenda?
Yes, we have 4.
Okay,
First speaker is Alma Angeles.
Speak tonight. I'm here on behalf of our speech therapists in our school district. Myself and 3 daughters are products of New Haven Unified. My last one is actually graduating this year. After that, I don't know if I'll have any more loyalty or ties to this district. This is my 23rd year here as a speech therapist, and probably maybe my last if you decide you don't want to spend the money you have in reserves on the students and staff that have gone through a strike and a pandemic. These students deserve smaller class sizes and more support. Us teachers who stayed to work here deserve to be compensated appropriately. I have witnessed special education classes for our moderate to profound students close even after warning our director about the increase in special education referrals every year. And now that we have these classes that have to be reopened with long-term substitutes, students are coming in with moderate to severe needs and significant behavioral challenges. At my site, I have multiple text groups to support classes that are often needing to evacuate their classes due to students who have behavioral or social emotional challenges. Myself, as well as other teachers, my admin, other students have been either hit, cursed at, scratched, have thrown chairs at weekly. Yet we continue to show up to work every day. Neighboring school districts in our SELPA, including Fremont Unified, Newark Unified, and also Hayward Unified and multiple school districts have their speech therapists on a separate pay schedule and have significantly raised their salary schedules to attract and keep their employees. We are asking for the same here. Your decisions in the coming months will decide the future and reputation of New Haven Unified School District. Spend the money on your students and staff that need it now and need it the most. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.
thank you. Our next speaker?
Next speaker is Tina Henshey.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Tina Hanchey, and this is my 30th year as a speech language pathologist, or SLP, in New Haven. SLPs used to stay in New Haven until they retired. I'm probably part of the last group of us for which that will be the case. For the past several years, new SLPs were hired, but many left in order to live where it's less expensive or go to a district that is paying much more than New Haven. Many surrounding districts now realize the significant SLP shortage and have moved SLPs off the teacher salary schedule onto their own or onto the school psychologist salary schedule, or have offered other incentives. These are the districts we are losing SLPs to. New Haven is not keeping up. Furthermore, we are required to take 24 hours of continuing education every 2 years to keep our state license, which is required to work in the schools. And most of these courses are paid out of our own pockets. We are asking that you make our salary schedule competitive with surrounding districts so we can attract and retain quality therapists and not have to rely on contracting out to agencies for these positions. Let's spend today's dollars on today's students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker?
Is Mina Narayanan.
Good evening, board members. I'm Meena Narayanan, and I've been with New Haven since 2009. To me, I thought of this as home. Yes, I want to retire from here, but the way things are going, I don't know if I want that. That's going to happen. Our primary concern as speech therapists is we're not able to do our jobs. We're just significantly overwhelmed. You're talking about a 7-hour day, 4 hours of therapy. You've got lunch and prep. The prep 40 minutes is just not enough to plan for a caseload of 54 with such varied needs. And then we've got 1 hour to finish everything else, which includes IEP paperwork before meetings, after meetings, scheduling it, collaborating with service providers, not to mention the time constraints to turn in the IEPs on time to the district. We don't have a cap on our caseload. Unlike the resource specialists, they have a cap. And I think that's different. There's a law for that, and there are 24, but other school districts have caps for speech therapist caseloads. We don't have that over here. And therefore, even if our numbers go above 55, guess what? They're still on our caseload. We support a number of students with significant behavior concerns, as you heard from our colleagues, and feeling like we're really lacking support in that area. A lot of our time is going towards supporting these behaviors, which we aren't trained to do. It's not within our scope of practice to support that. We've also been supervising student interns and clinical fellows for many years, many of which have been employed by the district. We don't get a stipend for the same. Given the increased workload, we feel we are a true minority that's been neglected and not taken seriously. Simple words, we're obviously underworked and overpaid, but don't get me wrong, I love my job. And just asking you all to consider, look at the salary schedules for the neighboring districts, compare us to them and see where we stand, and then take that seriously and consider paying us fairly. Thank you. Oh, did I say overpaid now?
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Next speaker is Debbie Short.
Hello, board members. I appreciate you taking the time of your, sorry, I'm not very good at public speaking. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to our concerns. My name is Deborah Short, and I have been at New Haven as a speech language pathologist for 17 years. If you count my internships, I was an intern here, it's been almost 20. Our district has failed the SLPs as far as equal recognition and fair compensation. I could talk to you about the 70 assessments, the 50 direct kids, and the 64 consultative students I have at James Logan that I am responsible for. Or I could not complete my job without the unpaid interns that I get from the university. However, what I want to talk about is how SLPs are continuously undervalued and collectively at New Haven. Although we have a job-alike partner, the school psychologist, we are not job-alike, as the pay is not equal. With that said, SLPs as a whole in this district, and especially while in contract negotiations, are always overlooked. Our district continues to put a Band-Aid on the problem for our vacancies and hire temporary SLP assistants or contract SLPs. These individuals are less qualified, nomadic, and usually leave the district due to lower compensation when comparing salaries, like Alma said, to other districts. Also, the turnover rate is high due to extraordinary, uncompensated, high work demands and limited work-life balance. These actions decrease stabilization for our families and especially for our students. What I wonder is, what drastic actions do we need to take for fair recognition and equal compensation? Let's spend today's dollars on today's students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers? Okay. Let's go ahead with our Zoom public comment speaker. That items that are not on the agenda. Michael Gardner, okay.
Hello, board members. Thank you for hearing me on Zoom. Sorry I couldn't make it myself. And I have a question for everybody. If you had a child who had a choice between becoming a good engineer or a great speech therapist, what do you think they should do? I think you could answer any way in good conscience, but the question tells us about the big problem and how public education is funded. There would be no question choosing between being a good doctor or a great lawyer. between being a good carpenter or a great electrician. All other things equal, would want the child to move towards an occupation where they'd be great. However, all things are not equal. When I was a young man finishing college, my grandfather advised me to go into teaching. A lot of careers are chosen at the dinner table. However, if we were having that conversation today, I don't think Gramps would want me to become a teacher. What he said before was, you'll never be rich, but you'll do okay. And I don't think many people are saying that at the dinner table right now. When we adjust for inflation, teachers make much less than they did when I was in college. Now, I don't think any of you would serve on the board if this wasn't something you thought about and something you cared about. However, it might be easy to think that this is a problem which you are kind of powerless, which is the ironic. This sort of thinking is what we consistently want our students to overcome, but we find thinking ourselves. Edmund Burke said, nobody made a greater mistake than thinking that they could do nothing because they could only do a little. Districts compared to other districts. So your decisions in directing your negotiations influence not just this district and our speech therapists and our teachers and our school psychologists.
Thank you, Michael. Are there any other speakers via Zoom? Okay. All right, now we're going to go to public speakers. Blue cards for topics that are on the agenda. Are there any speakers or any blue cards present? Okay, no one on Zoom either? Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to the agenda. Union President's Report or labor partners. I do not see CSEA president here, but I do see NHTA President Joe Angeles. Okay.
Yeah, good evening, President Gonzalez, Vice President Kumar, trustees, student trustees, Dr. Thompson, district staff in the audience, community members at home on Zoom. Again, I just want to give an update on what's been happening with us in collaboration with the district. As you know, one of the things that came out of the recent change in our communication style is ongoing collaboration on conversations that will help uplift the different programs we have. One that's ongoing right now is our work on looking at the administrative regulations for the district grading policy. We're working on putting together another group of teachers from middle school and high school to relook at those ARs for a better way to implement the plans as described by the board policy itself. We look forward to that. We also are looking forward to the conversations, as mentioned by the speech pathologist, through our special ed advisory committee. We know that the concerns that they listed are known to us. Our consideration is make sure we get some kind of actionable items out of those conversations. Because as you know, without any kind of action, it's that famous thing, talk is cheap. So we want to make sure when we spend time talking and bring in our expertise and what we see on the forefront, how do we kind of resolve those ongoing issues that causes the different things that were described, such as being overworked, lack of resources that they described. That is an area that we must kind of contend with and also kind of appreciate so we can kind of consider what can best serve that need. As you know, too, from the last board meeting, we are about to go inside true negotiations. We do appreciate, again, the collaboration conversation with Derek McNamara and his team to start doing the prep work for our sessions. Obviously, we talked very clearly how waiting until March to talk about some of the things that we were concerned is a little bit behind the time. So again, we came up with an idea, a collaborative idea with the district to kind of start talking about some things so we can kind of move to the hardest place of conversation, which is, as you well know, is the compensation piece and service to students. We are looking forward to getting a good resolve on that issue. I know it will take work. We appreciate the insight that the board trustees have made by coming and hearing us out and seeing what we see. We hope that what we see is what everyone sees. So that way the conversation can be very productive and moving forward. I also want again to thank the board for participating from our invitation to our school board breakfast at the Al Costa, which is the whole region of CTA here in Alameda, as well as Costa Consa County, to kind of get a feel and consider it and making solid that partnership with us. So again, with that in mind, we must really kind of contend with the open-mindedness to change some things, even though we know everyone mentions the word reserve, but that is a place that can help and maybe resolve some of these issues, which kind of set the standard going forward for the servants of excellence that we have with students, as well as recognizing the skills and expertise of the people here working in New Haven Unified. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next part of the agenda. 9.1 is recognition for student volunteers from the Youth Voter Movement. And so what this is an opportunity to recognize students for their contributions to the League of Women Voters and Youth Voter Movement led drives. I'm gonna have the superintendent read the names and I'm gonna be out front. And if you can come forward, you can handshake or fist bump me and then we can line up and then maybe everybody, we can take a group picture. Okay, sound good? Okay, let's go ahead with our first certificate.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay, Lila Fuentes. Susana Chin. Fatima Kawauta. Annika Rasagi. Mahi Naganada Ada. Hannah Rahimi. Sia Jane. Sabrina Cheng. Caitlin True. And Brices Rubio. Karen Law. Michael Daniel Franco. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Michelle. Michelle, I even have my glasses on. I have an excuse. Sorry, Michelle. That is my bad there. I apologize. And then Reem Wakas.
Up,
And-
ladies.
All right, if we can get the board to come around, we'll take a picture with everybody.
Yeah, right down here.
Actually, girls, a little bit forward. There we go. How many people did you register? 823. What? 823 people. Fantastic.
You go first.
Okay.
She's gonna go first.
I'm gonna go first. Okay. Thank you.
Right, ready? Sit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great.
All right, next on the agenda is 9.2. This is the Mission Valley Regional Occupational Program. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, can I say something to the girls?
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to thank these a handful of these dozen girls, like about 13 of these kids. They registered around over 900 students in our 3 schools. Logan and PLA as well as CCHS. And about I think about 30 students. They registered 3,500 students in the 15 schools of Fremont, Newark, and Union City. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good job.
Okay, now we will hear a presentation from Superintendent Tom Hansen.
President Gonzalez, thank you very much for having us this evening. Cabinet, we appreciate the time, Superintendent Thompson and board. We make a brief presentation every year to just remind boards of our partnership, what we do, what industry sectors we work in, how we fund what we do, and give you a snapshot of services to students at Logan and at the center. My name's Tom Hansen. I'm the superintendent at Mission Valley ROP. I brought with me the Director of Educational Services, Dr. Cliff Adamshart. Look at that beautiful slide. So we operate courses at comprehensive sites like James Logan. We operate coursework at continuation high schools. We're active at Conley. We do that in all 3 of our districts. Oh, there you go. Thank you. We have a mission statement that we haven't changed it for quite a while. We love it. We provide relevant career technical education by preparing students for employment in college through industry standard tools, training, and experience. So our coursework is technical ed in orientation, but in most cases, we can incorporate the same kind of benchmarks and rigor that qualify for college credit in elective standing, A to G, and in some Lab D coursework. We have added an industry sector in the past year of advanced manufacturing. We've been working hard at outfitting a welding lab at the center. So this list was 9 sectors just a couple of years ago. It's grown to 10 sectors with the addition of advanced manufacturing. So many of these sectors we operate at Logan: health sciences, hospitality, public services, transportation, and art, media, and entertainment. The other sectors are, kind of they're a much smaller kind of percentage minority of what we offer. So it's important that when we come to the school that's furthest from the center of the JPA, you recognize that we put more services into that campus. How do we fund this business? For many years, we have stuck to a percentage allocation and a pass-through of 65% Fremont Unified, 20% New Haven, and 15% Newark. And so the funds that we take from line item budgets compare exactly to be 65, 20, 15. And then the students that we see fall pretty much right at that 65, 20, 15, those splits. And then there are some other factors involved. For example, we did a capital improvement at Logan in the form of a kitchen. It's an incredible facility, and it costs more money than what we did in any and probably all of the other kitchens combined. However, there are some other things that Logan students don't have the same kind of access to that we've been spending money on at the center. So we are really confident. We add up what we spend where, what we put where, how many kids are seated in each district, and we have a very good track record of falling right at these percentages. our pass-through dollars have not changed, that the markers haven't moved since LCFF came into play. And it's because the state has been making technical ed grants from CTE available for organizations like ours. Districts, very large districts that run their own CTE departments would write their own proposals, but we have been fortunate enough to write those for the JPA districts. So at this point, our local pass-through dollars represent about 70% of our budget, and the rest of it annually is made up essentially from the CTE incentive grant from Sacramento. It's been operating for eight years, and it's one time each year. So it's from one perspective, maybe that's not the most, stable moving forward. We wouldn't know what to do if the grant was dissolved, but we don't have any idea that that's going to happen. So the state has gotten into this habit of funding technical ed partially in all districts with the help of the incentive grant and other proposals, the K-12 component, the K-12 component of strong workforce, for example. We've been successful for many years in providing improvement targeted funds in certain industry sectors with K-12 component strong workforce dollars. So that is the light and the dark blue sections there. What I'd like to do is invite Dr. Adamshart up to talk a little bit about numbers and service levels.
Thank you, Superintendent Hanson. First, I want to just thank you to the board for all the support and dedication you give to not only your students, but also for CT programs at Mission Valley ROP. Thank you very much. And also for Member Buffet, who serves on our own governing council. We appreciate her being there and supporting us as well. Also, we appreciate the administration at James Logan High School and also at Conley. They are wonderful to work with. They're great to communicate with, great problem solvers that work with us, and we appreciate their dedication and effort to the students from James Logan and Conley Cabrillo High Schools. Just want to point out just a few numbers for you. Right now, well, as of this slide presentation was put together just a few days ago, there's 716 total enrollments of New Haven Unified School District students in ROP CTE programs and classrooms. 68 of them actually get on the bus and come to the center, and 600, roughly 48, are actually on your campuses, which is the biggest CTE programs we have at any one campus. And part of that is due to we invest a lot in James Logan High School because it's just difficult to get on the bus. It takes a lot of time to get on a bus, get over to the center. So a lot of the programs that we have there, we duplicate over at the high school so they can have access to that. This is where the administration comes in at James Logan. They help us a lot. Our teachers love it there. They feel supported by their administration. They have great facilities and able to have wonderful students participate in those programs. So thank you very much. Just some other interesting information about, CTE programs. All our programs are through industry sectors, and what the CTE program does and what it needs to have to happen for it to run successfully is to have industry connections. All of our programs have industry advisors. They contribute to our programs by relevant experience. And if you look at this slide, it shows they have, these industry advisors, they meet with our instructors. They then give them input on curriculum, industry standards, equipment, things that are happening and learning in that particular industry. A classic example that I've used many times, and some of you probably even heard me bring this example up, but if you remember the old glass thermometers they used to take your temperature with, well, they went out years ago. And I, as a past medical instructor, I remember when the advisory committee came to me and said, we don't use those anymore. We went from digital. Then after a few years later, went from digital, some of you, now the scans. Now they have the full body scans for temperature, for body temperature as far as radiation. And so that is valuable input to our instructors to let them know, here's what's happening in industry so they can keep up with the trends. So when the students leave those programs, they have up-to-date information. These industry partners provide internships, and I'll talk a little about some of the internships and the numbers behind that. They participate in meetings with our instructors, and they provide great feedback on curriculum, as I just mentioned. So we have over 450 industry advisors that participate in our pathway program. So we're pretty proud of that. Just want to give you a little snapshot of what's happening with your students in these programs. So this is from data from last year. 739 New Haven Unified School District students earned a certificate of completion. When they complete a course, they get a certificate, and on the back, it lists all the skills and all their objectives that they met. And they can actually take that certificate to industry and show them, I completed this course, here's the skill set that I've learned, and it's listed on the back, and they can actually then provide or get gainful employment through that. So we are proud of that. And those certificates are recognized in industry throughout our area. There are 1,125 of New Haven Unified School District students that received industry level certification. These are particular certificates that are deemed by the industry as something that's actually required. And I'll use medical for an example. In medicine, healthcare providers are required to have BLS CPR, basic life support CPR, which includes AED training, infant choking, adult choking, recovery, the whole gamut. And so when our medical students, like at James Logan, they come out, they have that BLS certification, allows them to become medical assistant. And so there's Cisco training, there's automotive training, there's HIPAA training, there's a whole bunch of them where they can come out with multiple certificates that are stacked in a program. So there was 1,125 of those certificates that were handed out to your students. 8,286 hours of internships were completed. A great number. This is an experience that they cannot really get anywhere else. They go in and they actually work in the job sites, in offices and clinics and places, and they actually get real world experience. And that was 66 of those students from your programs were able to complete those internships. Mr. Hansen talks a little bit about the opportunity that we have, not with the CTE programs, to also offer UC A to G classes, as well as articulated classes where they can get college credit. So I hope you can read that with that up there, but I believe that's 1,440 college credits were earned by New Haven Unified School District students. That translates into dollars of savings for parents and families when they can take these credits because they already have them. They can take them onto their colleges. We have 51 UC A to G credit courses, and then roughly 660 students earned. I believe that 660 students are completed.
470.
470, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's what it says. Completed UC A to G courses so they can actually then go on to meet their UC A to G requirements. That's some of the data we have on New Haven Unified School District students. We love the students. We love the staff that work here. We appreciate everything we can have and receive from them, the feedback, the help in helping our students and your students achieve these successes. So we'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Vice President Kumar.
Thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed seeing all the NHSD numbers. So thanks for sharing that. I was wondering, is there anything that we as a board can do to strengthen this partnership?
To strengthen the partnership, we feel that the partnership is fairly strong already. I can't really think of anything. There's any one particular thing. I know that Mr. Hansen, Superintendent Hansen, and Superintendent Thompson work closely. Communicate. I communicate regularly with the New Haven Unified Site Administration. I've never had really any issues to resolve. I do know that we'll be talking about long-term funding here pretty soon, so maybe get on board and help us with that. to stabilize our programs, both with the district and Mission Valley ROP. So you'll probably be hearing that soon.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I do.
Okay, trustee Rafe?
So it's such a pleasure attending the meetings and like the great partnership that we have. Like I've met a few teachers, ROP teachers who are working in our school district, and they are like, they feel like great connection with with ROP, the admin and the students that are doing these technical education training. They, as soon as they are done with high school, they are ready for the real life jobs. And the internships that you allow them, that you place them in, they're also they kind of get them ready for the real world. So I really appreciate for all the work that that you put in our students. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Any other comments, questions?
Not afraid of any of them.
Okay. Well, no, I just like to say though, at my time at Logan, I was in the automotive technology ROP.
With Mr. Tejero, right?
Mr. Tejero, yes.
We still see him.
Oh, really? He's still around? Okay.
As a substitute.
Yes.
Okay, he was my uncle's teacher too, so go back to the 70s. Yeah, he was there. Anyways, can you just highlight the programs at Logan?
Yeah.
Besides automotive technology?
Automotive technology, we have Mr. Steve K there. He does a wonderful job with the students. Mr. Hanson also mentioned the new culinary kitchen, which is a very popular program. We appreciate having the opportunity to go in and build out that space and have a showpiece of a culinary kitchen for students. There's quite a few medical classes under health sciences and medical careers, very popular classes. Also, digital photography and imaging with Mr. Damiano, very popular classes, very well attended, and as well as our PLTW engineering classes.
Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you for your presentation. That whole year went by so quick the last time we were here, it seems like. Yeah, so great.
Well, thank you for
presentation.
having us. We appreciate your time.
Yes. All right. Moving on with our next presentation. Assistant Superintendent Annette Hellman, are you doing this part? And this one is on our budget.
Good evening, Superintendent Thompson, President Gonzalez, and trustees. I present to you an overview of our second interim report. This report covers financial activities from July 1st through the end of January. So I usually start my presentation with the authorization or the requirement by which we have to do this report, by when, and the procedure by which we have to do it. And that's Education Code 42130. I also usually show you where we are in terms of the fiscal cycle that we are in for 23-24. As you can see there, we have one last chance, one last opportunity to make updates to our current year budgets. And that is part of the estimated actuals. So from the time that we adopted our budget in June of last year, we've been going through this cycle. And at every reporting period, we do look at our finances and see where we could make adjustments or where we need to make adjustments. And that leads us up to the closing of the book. So right now, this is to show you where we are in that budget cycle for 23-24. So let's dive in with regards to updates as of the second interim period. So you've heard me say this, that the numbers that you see in that report is highly dependent on the assumptions that we use. And these assumptions that we use have different components. Some of them are components from the state. We are told to use certain numbers. A prime example of that would be the COLA. And then there are certain revenue streams that we are told to use in terms of how to calculate those revenues. So on the screen are those different components that we utilize in terms of figuring out certain things, whether it's a revenue calculation or if it's an expense, in this case, For example, the rates for pension benefit cost. I circled the 0.76% for 24-25 because that is an update from the last time that we presented to you in the first interim. At that point in time, it was nearly 4%. And I will show you in the next screen how that evolves. Let's just take a look at the year that we are in right now, the 23-24. This time last year, just around this time last year, when the governor unveiled his proposal for 23-24, that COLA was actually proposed at 8.13%. Since then, fast forward to now, it stayed at the 8.22% that it was revised to as of the May revision last year. So let's look at 24-25. I told you just a little bit ago that at the last reporting period, that number was nearly 4%. So I'm trying to demonstrate here the changes that happened within a budget cycle and from the time that we are told what numbers to start with. It does change, and look at what happens for 25-26. Again, it evolves. And of course, by the time we get close to 25-26, the one thing we know for sure, that COLA, which is currently at 2.73%, will change again. So this is just an illustration of how these things change from one reporting period to another. So when we look at, earlier I showed you state factors. Those are the numbers that we are told to use. On the screen are our local factors. These are our own district numbers. One of the things I wanted to highlight is the change in the enrollment number, because just a reminder that when we presented the first interim report, we were still going through, as a district, we were still going through the certification process of CalPATS. This now is the certified number, which is 10,052. So these are local numbers. I also want to point out the last line, which is the unduplicated pupil percentage. See the change moving forward. Again, these are updates and analysis that we do with regards to our data. So I call this LCFF simplified because the real calculator that we have to use is massive. So this breaks it down pretty neatly in terms of the components of LCFF. You can see there what the ADA is that is being used to calculate it, how much we get from base grant, how much we get for grade span adjustments, and how much we get for supplemental dollars. And for 23-24, you can see clearly there in the first two lines, those local factors that I talked about in the previous slide, which is a COLA of 8.22% and a UPP of 54.18%. What this says is in the current year that we are in, based on any adjustments that we have made, notably enrollment in ADA, our LCFF revenue for 23-24 as of this reporting period is 124.1 million. That is our general purpose dollars. So after looking at the current year that we are in, because we are required to always look at current year plus 2, this is a high-level summary of what that multi-year looks like. This is the unrestricted side of the equation, because that really is the money that we use for general purpose. The restricted side, as I say all the time, those are slated for actual programs that earn them. They are designated, they are restricted to those particular programs. One thing I want to point out here about, let's see, so, money coming in, money going out, meaning our expenses, the imbalance of money coming in versus money being spent, that's the red in terms of the surplus or the deficit. In this case, we are deficit spending. And that's a measure of the money we're bringing in versus what we're spending in a fiscal year. So as you can see, based on current numbers that we have, we are projected to deficit spend unrestricted by 861,000. Now, one thing to remember, especially for a district like us who declines from year to year, that's almost expected. And the challenge with that is we cannot right size fast enough to keep pace with the loss in revenue. So that is a real problem for districts like us. So moving on to the current year ending balance line, which is kind of in the middle. Let's look at the year that we are in, because the 22-23, I'm adding that there just to simply say, here's what we moved forward from the books that we closed last year, and that's the 29 million. So the second column, the 23-24, is the updates that we have now as of the second interim period. And according to this, you can see that we're projecting an ending balance of 28.2 million. That amounts to about 15.9% of our general fund budget. And by GASB, we have to designate that in different areas. As you can see that we are designating it in those different areas. We are not allowed to have anything undesignated according to law. Just a reminder that we are seeing, you know, a good amount of ending balance there. I just also want to remind that that will change once we reach a settlement with our employee groups. So in closing, I call it my COLA whiplash. You know, to change from 8.22% to less than 1%, that's kind of like, what, you know, you never know what hits you there. But you can see here what the projections are based on what we've heard in January. After the January governor proposals were released, there has been a lot of analyses from different parts of the government, notably the governor's staff, who was the Department of Finance, who we actually, their assumptions are what we would have to use, and opinions from the Legislative Analyst Office. So these are the things we are hearing post the January budget proposals. So the meager 0.76% COLA that we've heard about, now that we're hearing that it may not even be funded. Bullet number 2, reducing spending in existing programs through policy adjustments. To me, that's a long way of saying we might get cuts. Bullet number 3, you've heard about some one-time grants that actually were authorized last year. Not all of those were allocated by the state, and they're talking about sweeping the balance of what's not allocated yet. And bullet number 4, this was years ago. We all want to forget about them, but it seems like the D word might be coming back. And so these are the things that we are hearing, and I wanted to update you on what those are. In fact, these are written in the February report of LAO as alternative options that they are suggesting or recommending to the governor in terms of what his proposals are. So we are moving through, you know, the fiscal year cycle. You just saw the second interim budget update. In the later part of your agenda, item 13.3, you will be asked to approve the second interim budget, and the overview that you saw are really, you know, a shorter version of the full report. In item 13.3, you would have in that packet is the full budget book, and also the management summary that highlights what we believe to be the critical points for our community to know. So next up, as you can see on the board, we are awaiting the May revise that usually gets released in the middle of May. And then by that time, we would be, again, like I said, one last opportunity to update our current year finances as we progress along to adopting the 24-25 budget in June. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns from the board? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you so much. Ms.
Thank
Lee.
you.
All right, now we are on information items. Okay, our first information item is a review of recommended revisions to board policy number 6146.1. Dr. Thompson, do you want to introduce this?
Thank you. So if you remember at our last board meeting, you had a presentation from Director Chavez about changes to the graduation policy that we felt would be beneficial to our students, essentially creating 4 pathways through that. And we've taken feedback from you at that last meeting and put it into a draft policy. This would be your first reading of the policy tonight. Again, we're trying to push this forward a little faster than we normally would, simply because if we can enact it this year, there are kids that would benefit from it this year that may get a diploma that otherwise wouldn't. So I'm going to have Assistant Superintendent Stevens give you a brief overview of what those changes were and where we're at now.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Good evening, members of the board, President Gonzalez, staff, and community. So as the superintendent outlined, a couple of weeks ago, Director Chavez presented proposal to the board for consideration. And here are some of the highlights. Currently, we have 5 diploma pathways and options for our students. What we're proposing is a 6th pathway, which is a California pathway. I'll describe a little bit more as we move forward. And also a couple of changes to our current graduation requirements, specifically for Dakota and Conley Carabello. For Dakota, the only change that we're asking the board to consider is the community service hours, a reduction from 20 hours to 15 hours. For Conley Carabello, we're looking at a reduction of credits. A couple of weeks ago, we were, oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. Here's the right. Sorry about that. Here we go. This is the right slide. So the couple of weeks ago, our proposal was a consideration of a reduction to credit to 160 based on feedback and input. We're proposing now a consideration of 170 total credits, and that is with the reduction of elective credits to 25. In addition, last time we were presenting a reduction of community service hours to 10. Based on input, we changed that to 12. So those are the changes from the last presentation. And this is our new California Pathway Diploma. We'd like you to consider. This is an additional diploma pathway for students that are experiencing extreme hardship, and they would be able to apply as a 4th or a 5th year senior for a 130 credit as required by California, and be able to define and describe the hardship for consideration in order to be eligible for this particular diploma. And those are the updated changes since our last presentation 2 weeks ago. Okay. So now I'd like to take any questions or comments.
Okay, Vice President Kumar.
Thank you. I had a question for the new California Pathways Diploma. Have we run everything by legal? Are we compliant since this is completely new?
We did, and this is a compliant policy, which is great. Just as a quick note too, we normally, the staff doesn't bring ARs for board approval, but just to see how that would be put into practice, we included a draft AR for you as well to take a look at.
Are there any other questions or concerns? Okay. Trustee Hernandez.
Thank you so much for presenting. After attending open house or back to school night, I'm sorry, or no, it was open house with Conley Carabello, I had gotten feedback with staff and they are really excited about this this change, especially with the elective credits. So I'm really happy to report back that they're wanting full support with this as it is really needed with the students. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see no other hands. We'll go ahead and move on to the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next information item is an annual update on our home to school transportation plan. This is just board information. Is there a staff that's gonna do the presentation?
Yeah, do you want to just give a couple of the highlights in it?
Good evening once again. So we wanted to share the update with you. As you may recall, around this time last year, based on the funding source and the requirements of that funding source for funding eligibility, we presented to you the transportation plan. So we wanted to share the update with you in terms of where we are at this point. We've accomplished quite a few things. We did hold several engagement meetings. And born out of those engagement meetings, one of the things that came out is putting additional crossing guards at certain sites. So we've accomplished that. We actually added 2 crossing guards beginning this year because of the feedback that we received. And we've also done a partnership with UC Transit, UC Transit and Clipper Card. So in this case, UC actually helped us out by reinstating some routes, in some cases also creating some new routes so that we can provide or expand a program to all of our 7 through 12, through grade 7 through 12, so our secondary programs. It's a little slow moving. We are running into some challenges with regards to the structure that Clipper has at the current moment. But we're working through those kinks. One of the promising thing that we heard recently is that Clipper 2, which apparently had been in the works for quite some time, but it could potentially be rolled out in this fall. So hopefully that would relax some of the challenges that we were dealing with. Long story short, since we are not a transit company, we are a public school agency. There are certain things that we are not able to do according to their own structures, and I'm talking about Clipper Card. One other thing is, in terms of the elementary, we're in the process of putting together some data. We've done a few surveys. This is something that we're working towards providing services to our elementary grade levels. That's in the works. It's not something that we could roll out until 24, 25, but like I said, more to come. Stay tuned in terms of how we can roll that out.
All right, are there any questions or concerns? Okay, Trustee Nishera.
Thanks, Olga. I'm really looking forward to this program being optimized, and I realize this is our first real production year. And so one of the things that would be helpful to know is to understand some of the procurement challenges. In other words, what are the process challenges that make it difficult for our students and families to procure the Clipper Card? Or does the rollout of Clipper 2, I think you had mentioned that it does, but that it does actually mitigate some of the challenges. How optimistic are we that that those changes will have a positive impact on our participation for our students?
We actually had our joint meeting last night with the city team, and that's how we learned about Clipper 2, seemingly that it could be rolled out this fall. Steve across the street had been very helpful. We share the pain in terms of the challenges that we've been dealing with, and he seems to think that Clipper 2 would actually address those challenges that we were going through.
And Clipper 2 is scheduled to be rolled out
In this fall.
this fall. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none. Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Summer. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to items from the board and superintendent. I'll go to the right and work my way. Okay, student trustee Perez, go ahead.
Okay, so some updates for Conley Carabello High School is we have finals week coming up for the rest of the week. And then we also have during advisory, students are learning about Women's History Month and Ramadan, which is coming up. And then also we had some student peer educators. They presented about the dangers of cannabis use during a school assembly we had a couple weeks ago, and they hosted a trivia with prizes. And then on March 28th, we will have our college career fair, which is a special event at Conley, and all students will choose which careers and colleges they would like to hear from, like for example, like the Marines. And then our Rayos Pizza fundraiser, which is a huge success, which is right by Mexico Super, and we raised over $300 for Conley. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, trustee Hernandez, go ahead.
The only thing I have to report back on is the open house over at Conley. I think there was a really great turnout with our seniors, getting more information on graduation and all the activities to come. Also, as I mentioned before about our reduction in elective credits, they're really excited to hear more about that and to get that implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, trustee Nishar.
Yes, I only have one thing to report. I had a great time at the Alcosta breakfast a couple Saturdays ago. Really look forward to the next one, and I enjoyed meeting.
Trustee Rafe.
Thanks. So, likewise, like I also really enjoyed going to breakfast and meeting lots of different trustees, and like had a great experience there, and attended the CCHS open house with President Michael and Trustee Hernandez. It was it was nice, meeting, seeing the excitement of all the students coming in and hearing the teachers and the students from them. And the other thing that we did today was Logan Live recording. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I would never have thought how impressive that whole thing is. We saw the whole production happen right in front of us. It was amazing. And also the voter registration that we did, we registered about over 900 students in our school district, Logan and Dakota School, as well as CCHS. So it was very successful, and just about 12 girls, 12 kids did the whole thing. And it's amazing. And most of the kids would participate in this election. They're going to vote this year. Thanks.
Vice President Kumar.
Thank you. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I attended the Alcosta breakfast, school board breakfast as well. Thank you, President Joe Angeles, for the invitation. It was great. As a teacher, I'm a huge fan of project-based learning, and I was invited this past week to IVCMS to serve on the panel for a PBL project for the 8th grade core class. They got to come up with ideas for the 28th amendment, and it was a terrific experience. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our IVC 8th grade core teachers for making learning fun. At the Celebration of Schools event, we got a glimpse of Logan Live, and that's when I reached out to Dr. Thompson. Thank you for arranging that visit this morning. We got to experience the magic of Logan Live, and it was amazing, as Trustee Rafe shared. So thank you to Mr. Rizaya for making this such a great experience for our students. Last but not the least, I'm co-chairing the fun run, and so I am going to push for everyone to show up. So April 27th is the date. Sign up. You can either walk, you can run, you can just show up, or you can stay at home in bed with coffee and support us remotely. We have that option too.
Thank you. I also went to the Alcosta breakfast. And I like the chair, Alberto Nodal, end with, hey, break bread with your union and your board members. And so that's why we're all the same table, and we're all able to break bread and talk to one another. So that was a great experience. Looking at because it's mostly all trustees, but the changeover, I was looking at other districts, and it's a whole new group there. So a lot of them I didn't recognize. But other than that, great experience. Looking forward to next year. In the other event, I went to also the open house Conley Carabella. And what was amazing, of course, hanging out with my fellow trustees, it was great opportunity, other than being up here with the camera on us, a microphone, we were able to talk. That was a great experience. But I really kept thinking about just the staff there, and how warm and welcoming, and how much they know my family, and just the connections we have with each other, with the staff. Like, I would like to work there. It just felt like a nice small environment, friendly school to work at, and just a great experience there at Conley Carabella, and they're doing great things there. So that ends my report. I'll go ahead with our superintendent.
Just a couple quick things. Next board meeting we have is our Celebrating Schools board meeting on March 19th out there for those that want to attend. It's always a fun event. We have, along with the fun run, we have New Haven Day, same day. So April 27th, not too early to start circling that on the calendar. And lastly, happy Women's History Month. I'd like to personally thank the our women board members and staff who help make our district a great place. So we certainly would not be able to do what we can do without you. So thank you.
Isn't New Haven Day on the 20th?
27th?
It's 27th?
Triple check.
It's the 27th.
Okay. April 20th, senior ball, senior prom day at Logan and Conley Carabella. I'm sorry, John. Superintendent Thompson, is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. All right, we'll go ahead with our other reports. For Finance, Technology, and Facilities Committee, we're not meeting until May, so there's nothing to report out. How about our Communication and Advocacy Committee?
We're not meeting until the 11th of April.
Okay, Policy Review Committee. I think we shared last time. Yeah, we're not meeting till April 23rd. Any other committee reports?
Yes, I've been
Deputy Chair?
asked to represent the foundation for this meeting's readout. So the New Haven Schools Foundation Board of Directors met last Monday. The grant application for the classroom grant application is now over, and the subcommittee within the foundation is going through right now all the grant applications and are approving them. Yeah, also scholarship applications for our annual scholarship program are also closed, and they're being deliberated on by the individual committees. As was already mentioned, New Haven Day Fun Run is on April 27th. The scholarship luncheon will be May 21st. And that concludes the report for New Haven Schools Foundation.
Okay, are there any other reports?
ROP meeting would be coming Thursday. And yesterday was the
Joint, yeah.
joint meeting with the city. So, thanks.
Okay, for the joint committee with the city or subcommittee, we talk about revenue measures. We talk about that. Of course, ours is Measure M. We talk about land swap or land share use. And then transportation has been a big theme. One part of that they're working on, they're trying to pilot a new bus shuttle and to have it's region-wide to speed up transit. They're going to use the existing shoulder of Alvarado Niles to have a direct bus line to speed up traffic because we need some help remedy the traffic flow down Alvarado Niles Boulevard. So that's a possibility what to come. And then our next meeting is June 3rd. So, all right, now let's go to action items. Okay, may I have a motion? Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Vice President Kumar. If you can go ahead and take over our action items.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. So we're moving on to action items. We'll start with item 13.1. May I have a motion and second to expel student number 1?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Right, moving on, motion carries. Moving on to 13.2, may I have a motion and second to expel student number 2 and suspend the enforcement?
So moved.
There's part of
Oh,
the
sorry.
student is to be placed at Dakota School for Independent Study.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. We're moving on to item 13.3. May I have a motion and second to approve the 2023-24 second interim report and updated multi-year projections for 2024-25 and 2025-26?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.4, may I have a motion and second to approve the memorandum of understanding for data sharing with Alameda County of Education 2023-24.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item, 13.5. May I have a motion and second to revise the regular board meeting calendar for 2023-24?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. We're moving on to 13.6. May I have a motion and second to rescind board resolution number 040-2324, the award bid for independent professional audit services?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstention? Motion carries. Item 13.7. May I have a motion and second to approve resolution number 043-2324, award bid for independent professional audit services?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Abstention? Motion carries. We're moving on to item 13.8. May I have a motion and second to approve resolution number 045-2324, reduction on discontinuance of particular kinds of service?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.9, may I have a motion and second to approve resolution number 046-2324, resolution to reduce or eliminate classified services?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.10, may I have a motion and second to approve the non-reemployment of temporary certificated employees?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. We're moving on to item 14. Are there any items from the consent agenda that any board members would like to pull for a separate vote? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion and second to approve items 14.1 through 14.24?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 15. Since there was nothing removed from consent agenda, we can move on to item 16. So I will hand it over back to you, President Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice President Kumar. All right, now we're on assessment of governance procedure and protocol. Any comments, thoughts? I just thought that was excellent, though. You came into that because I needed a second wind. So thank you for moving that agenda along there. So that was beautiful. All right, we're going to go ahead and go on to board member requests. Is there any board member requests or updates, questions? Trustee Hernandez?
I actually wanted to go back to governance review. I have a question.
Yes.
For action item 13.7, did we need a roll call for a bid because it's money involved?
So I did check in with that with Dr. Thompson and he checked with legal and we did not.
Thank you.
Okay, good question. All right, seeing no other board requests, we can go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you, everybody. Made it special. Good night, everyone.